even when
Yeah.
you've played it quite a bit, there's always sometimes you need to find you have to have good memory. And if I'm excitable, I don't always have the best memory.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I hear that all the time. Yeah. There's such an ocean of options all throughout the game for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but once you know what you're looking for, it tends to be fairly intuitive. I mean, the menus are organized. I have my menu, Major League Philadelphia, and you can most of the screens here are fairly dynamic. You can get to where
Right.
you want from multiple places, and that's good interface when you can do that. When you can get somewhere from anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What? Oh, well, answer questioning chat. When I simulate seasons, how do I do it? A day at a time. I tend to do it a day at a time to see what happens. Uh, Sometimes if it's a really slow period, I will do it a week, but with notifications for all kinds of for important emails or injuries. It depends kind of what my mood is at the time. Sometimes when you're playing a simulation, sometimes you want to get to a certain point, uh, and you want to just move forward a little because I mean you get excited about different parts because really like September for me wasn't super exciting because I wasn't in the playoff hunt. I was eliminated in the end of by the end of August, I believe. And so I think I did do a week at a time in September because I had called everybody up. You don't really manage the disabled list to the same degree because it's not as important because you have the big roster. So I don't really have any set way I play. Really, there's a lot of whim involved.
And I guess you can just yeah, and and one thing I do in situations like that, I just keep telling the computer to set up the team if someone gets hurt, especially in that September situation
Yeah, I think the
with the
default is
40-man
3 days.
roster.
And really,
Yeah.
if it's only like a day or two, the computer manager can take care of that. I expect Ryan Sandberg to be able to handle something for me
Right,
because
exactly.
he probably doesn't like me trading Chase Utley and having him bench Ryan Howard. But
You're playing GM plus manager or
no,
GM
I'm just
only?
playing GM. I still
You're GM
employ.
only, okay.
I didn't go on a firing spree as soon as I joined. Since I'm still in my first season, generally in a sim, I like to kind of get my bearings. I don't want to clean out everybody yet until I can get to. He hasn't. I don't. Ryan. He has not sent me any nasty emails. Uh, Not
R-
lately, at
Ryan
least.
Howard?
Oh, not Ryan Howard. Ryan
You
Sandberg.
mean
I'm
Ryan
sorry. Yeah.
Sandberg? Oh, okay. Haven't got any obnoxious messages, huh?
Yeah. So he doesn't seem that unhappy. Um, I like this one. This when you because I signed Gallardo and he said sports writers question the wisdom of the freshly signed pack, but really, I don't think 12.6 over 3 years is that big a risk. I'm just hoping he'll eat some innings for me because that was one of my problems, especially early on. I did have Billingsley pitching really well early on, but I had trouble really at the back of the rotation. Uh, and I hadn't had Joe Kelly yet. Dustin McGowan was injured for part of the year. So I really could have used an inning eater in addition to Jerome Williams during a lot of the season. So that is one regret that I have is not having that player. But so I think that 4 million a year for a pitcher, as long as he's not actively horrible, I mean that's not so bad. But we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, for what, number four guy, 3-4 guy, something like that.
And I was looking. We also had the Hall of Fame election in game recently, uh, which kind of upset me because Jim Edmonds, your simulated news writers, sports writers, dropped him off the ballot, and I've been very concerned about Jim Edmonds possibly dropping off the ballot on his first year, and he did in game, which made me very sad.
Oh, and I
And
see Garcia Parr is gone and a whole
yeah,
bunch of them, huh?
only Piazza made it. For some reason, I'm not sure which in-game the model you guys use for the voting. I think Griffey will get in fairly easily, uh, but the others probably look about right. You have Bonds below 50%. Messina still not even at 40%. Except for Griffey, uh, I don't think those totals are far off. I think it's a little optimistic on Reigns.
Right.
But we'll see. On the lineups, I do let my manager do that because I'm trying to. I mean, I could. You can essentially pick whatever aspect you want to do. I don't know if the Hall of Fame voting takes into account PEDs. Brad, do you know if there is a dummy variable or something for drugs or something?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you asked that because I had asked Matt Arnold, the new programmer who was hired, about that because he kind of worked a lot on that Hall of Fame voting. And it basically takes, there's not a PED kind of uh, ding per se on the voting, but there is sort of, it does look at the historical voting and then
Okay.
it kind of creates a trend and sort of models it from
Okay.
there.
So it's indirect. I got it.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, I mean, because of the way Bonds and McGuire, the way Clemens, the way those guys, the voting has gone for them, it's going to kind of model that. But I mean, I have seen people tweeting, screenshots of Bonds, finally getting in after several years and kind of
Yeah. Well,
eventually
my
trending
my
upwards.
vote my
So
voters were much tougher. I voted for him on my ballot here in the game. I'm not yet a member of the BBWWA yet, so I don't have a vote. But I did have one in game, and I did vote for Bonds, but it wasn't enough.
right, and your vote, does count for a certain amount. It does give a little bit more weighting. It's not sort of like a God vote or anything, but it kind of
I wish
helps.
it was, then I could
Right,
get my
right, right.
way.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, well, you can always turn on commissioner mode and just put people in the Hall of Fame if you want to. Of course, you're just kind of then circumventing the whole process.
Yeah,
But
then that's just like cheating. You could do
I know,
anything
I
if you
know.
get. You can't cheat. No, don't tell people to do that.
Exactly. Turn on commissioner mode and put Ryan Howard on another team. There you go.
Okay, Yankees, you get Ryan Howard,
Exactly.
and I'll take Tanaka and Greg Bird and all the goodies.
Exactly.
Uh, but of course, then I joke. I mean, people can do whatever they want, but that takes away some of the drama that's inherent in any simulation. Because in any kind of simulation, out of the part, yeah, I could put Jim Evans in the Hall of Fame. That's a good
Okay.
point in chat. Uh, in any simulation, if you're not up against some challenges, then it's just not as much fun. I can't speak for everyone, but that is for me. If you don't fail, then success isn't that much fun.
Right. Yes, exploring the failure states, as Will Wright likes to say when it comes to games, and yeah, if you're always in God mode and invincible, then it's not terribly exciting.
There, I put up my graphical depth. Can't say the word today. Sorry, graphical depth chart on my team, so they can kind of get the idea of who I'm starting and who I'm not. As you can see, as I was saying before, the Cuban signings fared very well for me. Uh, as so, I can't complain. I had some bad luck, but I also had some good luck.
And I guess you got rid of Cody Ash.
Yeah, I actually. The problem was I had Franco hitting really well in the minors. Uh, I had Yonder pretty much an all-star in the majors. So that's the one trade that probably got me a little older. But at the time, I had a lot of injuries. I actually didn't really have anyone covering shortstop well at the time. So I actually now J.P. Crawford's in the majors, but I actually had Brandon Crawford. So I traded Ash for Crawford. Crawford, I called up. He had a really nice minor league season. He had an 836 OPS for Reading, and I actually called him up in September, and he hit really well. That batting average is going to come down, though. I can't do the batting average on balls in play in my head, but it will come down. But I also took the opportunity to sign him to a long-term contract because really you got to do it while you have the leverage. And so it's 23 guaranteed over 6 years with some good team options. We'll see how that works. I might have paid a little too much, but three outfielders. Oh, you read wrong. Sorry. I'm also talking to the chat here. I don't always make that clear. See, normally when I do Twitch, it's just me talking to the chat, so I have to get used to talking to everybody.
And someone's talking about turning on commissioner mode and treating it like that veterans committee that will vote in players who were passed up during their years on the ballot.
It's the Frankie Frisch simulator.
Yeah.
You know, because pretty much everyone that played with Frankie Frisch that he didn't hate ended up in the Hall of Fame. That's always the joke in Saber.
Right. And you've been a member of Saber for quite a while, huh?
I was a membership first in 2000, and I'm always on and off. Some years I just forget to renew. Usually when the book doesn't come, I'm like, oh God, I haven't renewed. So I'm on and off. The conventions are always great fun. Have you been to a convention?
I have never. No.
You had to go to a Saber convention. They're the best. People have this conception of Saber that it's just a bunch of stat guys, but that's really a complete misconception. If you go to a Saber convention, you see that Saber is primarily a historical organization that studies history more than statistics. There are, of course, statistical presentations and some sabermetrics, but the bulk of it is people who are just interested in history. And I think that Bill James said that was one of his regrets, that he coined sabermetrics, which kind of led to a false notion of what Saber was made up of. But it's great because you can really get just deep presentations from a lot of the historians at Saber. And as I said, there are always some good sabermetricians that are making presentations. But it's a very well-rounded organization. They're always trying to get younger because it does skew quite old. And it's fun. There's a lot of drinking involved at Saber conventions too. Usually exhausted from all the drinking.
That's true of pretty much any convention, right?
Yeah, pretty much. You get a bunch of people with similar views and similar interests together. You put them in a downtown area with
Right.
bars and free time, and that's going to happen.
Right. The Quilters Association of America probably has a lot of drinking going on too.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get to Chicago Saber. It's not that long a drive for me. Uh, we will see. That's the question in chat.
Okay. Method Analytics Conference in Arizona. Saber seminars sold out last year, so
Yeah,
there we go.
it's weird. I've never been to a Saber seminar. I'm not a good planner. I kind of need a secretary.
That's separate from the convention?
Yeah, they have. Let me get more of the details for you. There's a number of different kinds of conventions now. It used to just be Saber was the big one, but now you have seminar. You have the MIT thing that they do every year. So there are a lot of different. As sabermetrics has become a bigger thing, it's kind of necessary, but for more events to do it. Because as I said, Saber is not strictly a sabermetric event. It's not just for the stat guys. It's also for the history guys, and of course, there's a lot of overlap involved. But Moneyball has really expanded the audience for this kind of thinking. As we always joke that it's made a lot of us employable, which is pretty cool. But there are a lot of events to go to now that there weren't 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
Sloan, that's what I couldn't think of the name. Sloan. MIT Sloan. The MIT Sloan Sports Conference.
And how about Zips? How does that kind of tie into your interest in Saber and other stuff?
Well, it's weird the way Zips came about. Generally, go back about 17, 18 years. A good friend of mine named Chris Dial. He's actually currently on the board at Saber. We used to talk a lot. This was before sabermetrics had really become mainstream to the same degree. It was really just the writers and a bunch of nerds on the internet that hung around Usenet. I don't know if you're familiar with Usenet,
Yeah.
but that's where a lot of the sabermetricians you saw, especially in the first decade of the millennium, were a lot of where we came from. People like Keith Law, Sean Foreman of Baseball Reference, Voris McCracken, Gary Huckabee, that group of people. Well, Chris Dial and I used to talk about how, because at that time there weren't any real easily available baseball projections.